Paul Roberts from threatpost.com. Ward, I think you made a really great, hi.
Hi.
A really great point at the beginning of the talk where you were saying that, that there are many moving parts here. One is carriers, the other is platform vendors, and then there are the customers who have a proliferation of different devices within it. It makes ownership difficult. To Rob's point, one of the clear kind of choke points seems to be around the application stores and the application ecosystem. So I guess it might be a question actually for all of you, but Ward, I thought you guys are producing mobile applications. You obviously do a fair amount of security vetting internally before you release them, but how reasonable do you think it is to expect Apple or Google or whomever to actually really do application vetting, application analysis at scale across their platform? And if it isn't, you're shaking your head, so if it isn't realistic for them to do that at scale, then where does that responsibility lie?
I'll answer that one.
I think we all have an opinion on this one.
I left probably one of the largest SDL programs I built at Dell. 8,000 developers worldwide, 47 countries. And at the end of the day, like each vendor has a responsibility to create secure applications. From the Dell perspective, I built it right into our contracts. So vendors that were partnered with us, they were coerced because we're the big camp. And so, I won't name names, but from the BIOS up, vendors built SDL programs because I made them. They wanted to partner with us. And if you look, the who's who have SDL programs today. So I think it's trickling down to more and more companies. But it's hard. Like if the people that are building app stores, they're trying to generate revenue for $1 a piece. And so I don't hold Apple really culpable right now because it's a new concept. But down the road, I'm sure that'll be culpable. From what I know, it's kind of UL Labs actually just went into a partnership. They're going to be announcing this week that I know of with a couple of vendors. So that UL Labs is actually going to start having the UL label saying, hey, this is UL tested and qualified. And so we've always been talking about that, AppSec people. Everybody's been saying, hey, we want UL Labs. And so I think that's coming as an industry. Even 6 years ago, frankly to say, like I went even to the security vendors, like Checkpoint, and I was in a room full of CISOs then, and I'm like, all right, so tell me about your SDL program. You're like a security company, and blank stares. And it's evolving now to that. I think everybody can at least talk about their application security practices to vet their technology before they goes out the door.
So I want to take that even a step further. First off, just for the record, app stores are the greatest malicious software delivery method ever invented by man. If you have any doubt about that, look at all the apps, look at the fact that your employees willingly go download these apps. They don't have to click on the link in an email. It's not, oh, hey, look at these hot pictures where you can get some education out of someone. They download apps that everybody else knows, be it a cool game or whatever it may be, they all download it. And so now Apple alone has over 300,000 apps, not counting however many versions of those apps. And Apple does their checks and says, okay, this app does what it says it's supposed to. There's no check to any hidden code. There's no source code review. Google, well, just 1 second. Google doesn't do any review at all. You can write a virus and have it in the Google App Store an hour later. Now, okay, so whitelisting, blacklisting, throw that out the window. What you need to do is you need some kind of additional inspection. We've had IPS and network access control devices for a decade now. Why can't somebody do application access control? Look at these devices and look how they're behaving and say, okay, this app is behaving badly. Either quarantine the device, remove the offending app, wipe the device, whatever it may be. Look at the behavior of how these apps are acting, since you really can't just quantitatively say this is a good app, this is a bad app. Because Angry Birds could be a great app today, but tomorrow could be the worst botnet ever seen in mobile.
Yeah, just a couple points on the question raised around app stores. First off, I think everybody recognizes that HTML5 offers an alternative as well, so it's not just app stores, we're talking both. Second, on the issue of UL that Phil brought up, or any kind of code review, welcome to the central problem in computer science, right? I don't know what UL is going to do, like if they're going to do code reviews, they should go read Ken Thompson's paper from 1983, right? Reflections on Trusting Trust. Code review is not going to pull bugs out of apps. It'll help, and you can test and do all that crap. But central problem in computer science, right? Making software work. So we're never going to have that, solved, at least in the near term. And the issue around why sort of restrict to certain app stores is revocation. That's the fundamental reason. Our policy at AT&T for Android has been to try to restrict to the Android market so that we can revoke. If you don't, and you get malware on your device, the carrier has no ability to do any type of revocation. Our competitors don't do that. We do. I don't know whether it makes any difference in the marketplace, but it's just an old security guy trying to do what I think is right. So this issue of App Store, I think you got the right point here that App Stores are a mechanism by which vulnerabilities are pushed. But I don't think App Stores or HTML5 they're not bad, right? That's good. We all like that. It's that people in this group, in this room, our community, we've got to come up with solutions. So let's make sure we're all not avoiding this stuff. And by the way, it's not just 25-year-olds. It's everybody, right? You got to watch that as your business model. 10 years from now, you'll have trouble. So.
Any further comments on that?
I was just going to say, so the model that I really push anybody who comes to me and ask about is I'm a huge believer in disclosure. And I'm going to use actually another company's example. So Facebook, I don't know my audience here, how many of you are on Facebook. But if you load a new app today, the first thing that happens when you click that new app is it actually tells you what information you're about to disclose to Facebook and to the app company. Well, that's kind of interesting. I'm a huge advocate of privacy as well, and so drive this pretty hard. I drive this with the developers. I drive this across the company. I spend probably about 25% of my time embedded in legal, talking about privacy issues and what information could be lost. So the big thing when we're talking about those app stores and the delivery of those mechanisms is coming up with the ability to actually tell the user before they load the game, hey, you are going to disclose this information. That's part of the game, is disclosing. It's a social game. That's what we're playing on. So you're going to disclose this. If you disagree with this, don't play the game. So that's one of the big things that we encourage, and it pops up when you come to it. And we tell you that in our terms and services. You are disclosing information to you. We give you the ability to opt out of our games and opt out of the disclosure of this information. We're constantly legal on these things. So that's the thing to realize. If you don't trust, Rob provided us the perfect example there with the flashlight code. No, the app stores aren't going to be responsible for reviewing the code. There is too many apps coming in. Apple used to have this brilliant, when you'd walk into the lobby of the Apple building, they had a giant wall of monitors. And it was all the apps that were currently available in the App Store, and it was constantly being updated, and they'd blip like raindrops as someone downloaded the app. And so, the whole screen looked like raindrops were falling on it. And there were millions of apps. You said there were 300,000, but obviously the different versions and things like that. So, they're apps. They're not going to be able to catch them. There's no way they're going to ever catch anything. You can slip the code through. All that Apple's doing when they review their apps is looking to see if you're actually making illegal function calls against hidden function calls that they've deemed out of bounds for developers. That's what they're checking for. If you pass that and it doesn't actually violate any contracts with any of their carriers, run with that app.